Hi everybody, how's it going? So Kirsty here, Goddess of Neptune. This is your astrology overview for today, Saturday the 11th of February 2023. Hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world, of course. I'm going to share an image on my screen very shortly, which is the chart for today. It's based on the UK natal chart, but it shows you the transits for today. And of course, we've got Mercury now in Aquarius, hot off the press. So bear with me whilst I try and use this Aquarian energy of technology to bring you this image. Bear with me. Okay, so what I'm presenting now on the screen, which you should see, is the astrology for today. Now you'll notice that there are two circles within this astrology chart. Of course, the inner wheel representing the UK, that's where I'm based, and the outer circle, the outer wheel, outer ring, however you want to term it, is representative of the current transits. So this was just as a few moments ago. Okay, and those of you that can notice the date for the UK's natal chart, there is a reason for this. Check out my previous video if you're interested in that, but there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that date. And of course, the transits going on, and you'll see that on the right-hand side, where we've got Aquarius there, you will see that we have Mercury 0 degrees Aquarius, so having just moved into Aquarius. Obviously just coming from Capricorn, so very close to that. But if you look, it says 0 degrees Aquarius. So definitely hot off the press, fresh energy to our communications and our expressions. But also Aquarius means liberation and can also mean rebellion. So of course, take it how it resonates, because there are a number of different factors that this could apply in your life. But when we think of Mercury, when we think of how we communicate, how we express ourselves to others and to ourselves, there is almost this need to innovate. And we've been feeling this for a while because of the energy of change. So interestingly, on this UK natal chart, it's showing is in the 7th house, which is relationships. Of course, just to put that disclaimer out there, this is based on this chart. It's not going to necessarily be based on your chart. So it's interesting for you to actually see where Aquarius is in your chart, and certainly where Mercury is making that transit. Just wanted to point that out, okay, because it's not going to be the same necessarily. You might have exactly the same chart, but it's important for you to actually discern and refer to your own chart to see how it could be impacting on your life. This is based on a collective overview based on the UK's natal chart. All right, just want to point that out. So obviously that's going to bring from Capricorn, you know, where there might have been some restricted feelings to our expressions. They could also be very business focused, of course, but now Mercury is in Aquarius. There is that sort of almost liberation of, okay, now I really know what I need to express and I'm going to have to express it. And that can be challenging. That does take a bit of a leap of faith, especially if it's out of the comfort zone. But with the energy of change that I alluded to earlier that we've seen for a while, there is this need to make sure that we are communicating and expressing to ourselves and others in accordance with the true essence of our soul. One of the messages that was coming through to me earlier today was integrity. So acting with integrity at all times, not just for the sake of acting with integrity in front of others. This is acting with integrity from the true soul's essence. If you know that you're acting from your own soul's truth, that is the divine truth, and therefore that will be received by who can receive it, who needs to receive it, and so on. When we're acting from a place of, you know, it's not integrity, and we're doing it to please others, that's not doing ourselves any favors. So this has been coming up, of course, with Aquarius referring to connections as well. There is this need for connections to be transformed, and that has been happening. And I know I've been saying it before about since the Scorpio season last year, and even before that, with all of this energy since 2020, it's really been building up that momentum for change, for shifts to happen. And we've seen that in our own lives in abundance. You know, we've seen that we've had to transform, we've had to change, we've had to make changes, and it's been uncomfortable. However, it's all for our highest good. So now with Mercury moving into Aquarius, supporting that energy of the freedom of expression, free speech. And I appreciate in you know, not every scenario that's going to be relevant or applicable or even possible. However, where you can, and you're speaking from your soul's truth, that is important, because this is liberation of that. Also want to remind you as well that we've still got the North Node in Taurus, and of course Taurus relating to our worth and our values. So when we are seeking out our purpose, when we're trying to deliver our purpose for ourselves, we need to know our worth. So Mercury in Aquarius is almost that freedom of expression in line with our truth, our worth, our values. We know Chiron is still in Aries, so those wounds coming up relating to the warrior self, the sovereign soul. So it has all been pretty hard going when it comes to really finding our strength within of our own sovereign worth, our own sovereign being. And now we get the chance to express ourselves. So making sure that we're moving out of those restricted energies that Saturn, well, Capricorn, so Saturn type energy could bring. Recognizing Mercury's passed over where Pluto currently is, which is in the final degrees of Capricorn, and that's quite harsh as well when it comes to that transformation, deep transformation as well. There's been that really tight energy, and I mentioned in my previous astrology overview, which was for the full moon in Leo, that there was almost a heightening of that fixed energy. So knowing that we need to change and move forward, feeling that momentum within our energy to move forward, illumination of a lot of things coming to the surface, but also feeling a bit sort of in a box, because it's the fixed energy asking us to deal with what we need to deal with in the here and now, relating to our feelings, relating to our worth, relating to our connections. So all of this is needing to change and transform. And we've been going through this. Give yourselves a pat on the back, because honestly, it has been turbulent. It's not been easy. And we are literally riding that energetic wave. So this energy now, I feel quite positive about it, that it is allowing for that freedom of expression within our connections. And also with ourselves, we need to make sure that we are communicating fairly and with integrity to ourselves, i.e. honouring our soul's truth, our soul's worth, our soul's values. Of course, Mercury can be quite heavy with the thoughts, overthinking, and that can play tricks on our mind as well when we get into that sort of overthinking and we're not feeling into things. So Aquarius is, of course, air energy as well. So there is that tendency that we might be going up into the mind a bit. And admittedly, we need the logical mind to propel us forward. But ultimately, the inner compass, as I refer to it, our wisdom bank within our soul, knows and guides us forward. Now, whether we listen to that guidance is another thing. So we need to check in with ourselves. We need to communicate with ourselves using that integrity. What is true to me? Not what anybody else thinks. There's been too much of this, and enough. What do you think and feel? I was trying to say it as one word then. I was trying to be innovative with the Aquarian energy, but in a serious way. What do you feel you need to express to others? What do you feel you need to express to yourselves? What do you feel you need to do in relation to your thought patterns and your processes? Does that need to change? Does there need to be innovation there? So recognizing that. Now, of course, looking at the UK's charts, it's showing it in the 7th house, just coming into the 7th house. And the Pluto energy is in the 6th house. So, of course, daily routine schedules. So that deep transformation still bubbling away and building up, getting more and more intense, as if we haven't had enough deep, intense transformation energy. However, Mercury is in Aquarius in the 7th house now on this chart. Point it out again, this chart that I'm looking at. So our relationships as a collective within the UK, or whoever this might apply to as you're watching, is fundamental to this change that's needing to happen. And it doesn't even have to be relationships with people. We have relationships and connections with places. We have relationships and connections to things such as jobs. And we also have those connections to our thought patterns. So just to point that out as well. Now, also in Aquarius, admittedly on this chart, it goes into the 8th house section, is the sun, because we've still got that energy of the sun. Next week, the sun moves into Pisces. Yes, can't wait. I'm a Piscean, love it. Love Pisces season, obviously. And we have got Saturn there as well. So just recognizing that there is still some intense energy within Aquarius. And this could also be bringing up karmic situations. So again, Mercury is now in Aquarius going, hey, I'm in Aquarius now. We've got to really look at freedom of expression when it comes to connections, maybe business connections, but also karmic connections. Those could be related as well, admittedly. But what do we need to communicate? Who do we need to communicate to if it's people? That could be karmic connections. Do we need to cleanse some karma, clear some karma once and for all? Is this coming up for a reason with Saturn being there before Pluto then moves into that energy? You know, it's recognizing where we need to make those changes, because there has been that essence of change, certainly since Uranus went direct. But also understanding our worth and values in relation to that, not losing sight of that, because that's very important. We're trying to move in that direction of working for ourselves in terms of our purpose, working with integrity. And when I say working, it could be literally working, or it could just be working to meet the needs of your soul. And understanding that connections have a lot to play in all of that. So bear that in mind. There was also something else in the chart as well that I wanted to draw some attention to, just looking here on the bigger screen for me. But we've got more in the left-hand side at the bottom section, if you can see that, within the 2nd house as it appears on this particular chart. We've got the transit of Lilith, also known as Black Moon Lilith, coming through still Leo energy. And I picked up on this, the full moon astrology overview, 25 degrees, and against the natal chart of the UK, 24 degrees, Neptune. 2nd house, of course, to do with values and worth. So, and the moon is there as well in the 2nd house, but that's in the Virgo portion. So there is that feeling that Lilith is sort of bringing up these darker self-esteem wounds that could be relating to the more illusionary aspects when it comes to our worth and our values. You know, what have we been telling ourselves that's actually not true when it comes to our worth and values? Have we been going around telling ourselves that we're not worthy of something when we are worthy of something? Why are we telling ourselves that we're not worthy of something? So Lilith might be highlighting that and kind of reminding us that with that Leo energy, because of being in Leo, you need to be your true expression of self. But I'm just going to highlight now where you've been putting yourself under some illusion of not feeling worthy of this. So that's also important to note. It stood out to me because we need to be communicating with ourselves, that Aquarius energy. Remember, Mercury now in Aquarius, we need to be communicating fairly to ourselves. And also this is where the change might need to happen, because if we've been communicating to ourselves in a negative way, you know, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not worthy of that, and this has actually been self-deception, Lilith is going to bring this up to the surface, but could also help illuminate, if we've got everything in check here and we go within and we're operating from a place of integrity, recognizing, I only feel this way when I'm around certain people, or I only feel this way when I'm in a certain situation, for instance, a job, just using that as an example. And Lilith, thank you so much, because you're actually highlighting this to me, that whenever something happens in this situation or in this relationship, in this connection, I start to doubt my worth. That's interesting. Right, I need to use this Mercury and Aquarius energy to exercise my freedom of speech, to communicate how I feel, to communicate with integrity, to say, actually, this is not right. Even if it's just communication to yourself, to say, take a check on this. It's only because you're being influenced by other people, or it's only because you're being influenced by other situations. What they're doing is on them. I need to focus on me. As an example, okay? So that is important, because I would believe that the majority of us in the collective have been through that at some point. And it's the recognition that it may not even be coming from yourself. It could be coming from somebody else. It could be coming from a situation that's bringing up wounds. And that's why there is then doubt against the worth. But striving forward, that North Node in Taurus, needing to find your purpose in your worth. Mercury in Aquarius, needing to truly innovate those expressions to ourselves and others. Having that freedom and rebellion to express ourselves freely is important. And what anybody else is trying to do is serving as a lesson. Could be a karmic connection, could be karmic relationship, could be karmic situation. Because as I mentioned before about the Saturn energy that's also there in Aquarius. But Lilith is helping us by bringing this up. Where have we been under some sort of illusion when it comes to our worth? Where have we believed we're not worthy of something when actually we are more than worthy of something? So you need to turn it around, change the communication to yourself. I am worthy of this. I am worthy of divine opportunities. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of many things, many divine opportunities that wish to be bestowed upon me, because it is in alignment with my integrity and my divine birthright. And anything else going on, thank you so much for bringing that up to the surface, because now I can process it and I can release it and I can express myself in terms of my truth and my integrity to those people, to that situation, or to myself. And even just by me saying that, there is that empowerment. So you say it, you feel empowered, if this resonates for you, of course, because things need to transform. And for too long, we've been conditioned, we've been sort of put in a place like this. We need to be breaking out of that box now. Aquarius energy, rebellion, we need to be rebelling in line with, I was going to say in alignment, in alignment with our soul's integrity. You might be asking yourself, why have I accepted, Lilith will show this to you. Where have I been deceiving myself? Oh, yes, because that person's been telling me this. Every time I try and do this, this person tells me I can't do it. So therefore I believe I can't do it. No, this is all about your soul's integrity, what you've come here to do. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to have connections and to learn from other people and situations in terms of us. This is for our soul growth. They're going to grow on their own when they learn their lessons. So this is about recognizing what's it teaching you and why is it teaching you this? And ultimately relying on that strength and resilience that is going to come forth as a result of it. So it's a powerful transformation of the sovereignty within, but there is that need to recognize that there have been certainly manipulative energies when it comes to our own worth, allowing us to believe that we're not worthy of our destiny when we are worthy of our destiny. So with this Mercury in Aquarius energy, just trust that there is that liberation coming in for you, for your expression, for your thoughts, to not get caught up into the overthinking, especially when things are illuminated to us in this way, because it can be quite shocking, especially if it's a connection and you've been close to this person for a number of years, especially if it's something like a job that you've been doing all your life. And all of a sudden, this big sort of moment comes, almost like a tower moment, to wake us up to the reality of where we've been deceiving ourselves. And actually that we've been operating with a little tiny bit of our power, and we need to be operating from the full amount of our power. But to do that, we've got to liberate ourselves from the chains of other people and from the chains of other situations. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that resonates. Of course, it's not going to resonate for everybody, but I hope there's a message in there somewhere, because the astrology is showing with that Aquarius energy and the intensity that's been going on with the energy of change, that certainly we need to be changing how we communicate with others, how we communicate with ourselves. And if we feel something isn't right in accordance with our own integrity, that we need to express that. Because if we're expressing it from our truth, that's fine. There could be a projection back to us, there could, you know, whatever. And that's often what puts people in fear of speaking up. And it's a valid fear, because that's what we've been taught, that we can't speak our truth, we can't speak our opinion. But when it comes to our own soul's integrity, and if somebody is trying to dim your light, that's not okay, and that is not of the divine light and the divine truth. So here, as I've mentioned, Lilith could therefore be bringing up those wounds when it comes to self-deception with our worth and values. But of course, look at where Lilith is in your chart, because that's going to play out in a specific way as well. But overall, collectively, you know, where have we been deceiving ourselves when it comes to our worth and values? Why do we feel not worthy of something when we are worthy of something? And what are we going to change about that? Where do we need to change our expressions, our thoughts, our communication, our connections? That Aquarian energy, all of that. So look at that, and just know that when you're coming from a place of integrity, you're operating in alignment with your soul's truth. So I hope that finds you well. And of course, as I said, we've got Pisces season coming up at the end of the week, and I'm super excited about that. And we will of course then have the new moon sort of straight after, so I'll be back for further reports on that. But if you'd like a deep dive into your chart, your natal chart, then reach out to me. I'll put details in the description box below. But also, if it's not with regards to a natal chart reading, and you're interested in how the next new moon, so the new moon in Pisces, when that does come in, if you're interested in knowing how that might play out for your chart uniquely, I'm also, of course, offering my MoonScopes on my Etsy shop. So you'll find details below. Until then, I'm sending you love and blessings. Happy Mercury in Aquarius season. Liberate yourself, people. Sending you love and blessings.